Hi everyone, this is Dr. John Demartini. Today I'd like to share with you an idea that you may or may not have thought about on the topic of foresight versus hindsight and the wisdom of having foresight as a transcendent state compared to hindsight. Now, what does that mean? We have inside our lives the capacity for both. I'm going to use hindsight as learning through trial and error, and foresight having intuition and inspirations to see things that are to be coming in our life that we're to create. Now, everybody lives by a set of priorities, a set of values, things that are most important to least important in their life. Whenever you're living according to your highest value and setting goals that are in alignment with your highest priorities and highest values in your life, you automatically awaken inside you a more objective view, a more even-minded view. You're able to embrace pains and pleasures in the pursuit of the purpose, which is the highest value. Whenever you're living by lower values, the very lower values, you end up having a subjective view, and you end up attempting, as a result of not being fulfilled by your highest values, looking for immediate gratification and wanting a quick fix and wanting a pleasure. And you tend to divide yourself up. You're trying to avoid the pains and seek the pleasures. In your highest values, you embrace both of them in the pursuit of a purpose. You're willing to take support and challenge, ease and difficulty, positive and negatives equally in your life, which is necessary to achievement. But when we're living by our lower values because of the unfulfillment, and we're looking for immediate gratification, we're looking for a pleasure and trying to avoid a pain. Like an animal, we're searching for prey, trying to avoid a predator. And this behavior is futile. Why is it futile? Because anytime you're searching for a one-sided world, let's imagine an animal going after a prey, and it doesn't have a predator. And it goes and eats the prey, and it overeats. It tends to pig out. When it does, it's sluggish, it can't run as fast, and it's got more calories in its body because it overate. What it does is it increases the probability of a predator coming after it because now it can't run as fast, and it's got a lot of calories, and it's an efficient meal for a predator. So the more you strive for that pleasure without pain, the higher the probability pain comes in there that's unwanted. And so it's a futility to go after a pleasure without a pain in life. Even though you hear, I want happiness without sadness and pleasure without pain and positive without negative, life is like a magnet. It has two sides, and you don't get one side without the other. In Buddhist teaching, there was a statement that says the desire for that which is unavailable, one side of the magnet, the positive without the negative, and the desire to avoid that which is unavoidable, the negative side of the magnet, is the source of human suffering. Because we suffer striving for a one-sided world instead of embracing both sides. So subjective world is a biased world where we're lopsiding our perception and seeing all positives without negatives or all negatives without positives. And we're run like an animal, avoiding pain and seeking pleasure. And we're having to learn through trial and error why it's not working. And that's a very inefficient system. It's slow. Even our modern computers today have to function this way. It's not the same as a human mind that has foresight. That still gives us an advantage over artificial intelligence. So we have telenomics. Telenomics is the feedback from trial and error, striving for a pleasure, trying to avoid a pain, and finding out that it's futility. Our brain even has a system in there to make sure we learn from that. Because if we're striving for a pleasure and we go take something or do something that's pleasureful, the next time we do it, we have a little less pleasure. And that means we need even more to get the same pleasure. That's where addiction comes from. So addiction is a byproduct of unfulfilled highest values and our animal nature living in the lower values. And if we do, we have what is called hedonic adaptation to calm down our illusion of a pleasure without a pain. On the pain side, we have what is called desensitization. If we experience a pain, the next time we experience it, it's a little less. And the next time we experience it, it's a little less. We have a built-in mechanism in our brain to make sure we try to bring ourselves from the subjective, animal, trial and error learning to try to be taking us to the highest executive center of the brain where we have foresight, where we can see a vision, we can see strategies, and we can act on them, and where we have intuition trying to balance things and inspiration trying to lead things and drive things. When we live by foresight, we're able to see our vision, we're able to execute plans for it, and we're able to see things and become unborrowed visionaries and actually change the world. Instead of reacting from hindsight as a kind of a follower, it's wiser to be a leader and transform the environment. The difference between a victim of their history, which is a subject to their environment, and a master of their destiny who is able to transform their environment is that difference. So foresight, the ability to see things in the future, is the key. Now, every time you live according to your highest values, every time you do and you achieve and you walk your talk and you achieve because you embrace pain and pleasure in the pursuit of a great purpose and you have that objectivity, your space and time horizons grow because every time you achieve something, you tend to set a bigger goal over a longer period of time. So you develop patience, the wisdom of patience. You develop a bigger vision, an expanded vision. And once your vision gets bigger than your own life, when you start thinking, I could do something that leaves perpetuity and leaves something beyond my life, a legacy, you actually enter into the world of immortality. That means your goals now are not mortal goals for basic needs. Your goals are for doing something that leaves marks in history. So if you live by foresight, you live by your highest values, you increase the probability of awakening up your immortal legacy, the path of making a vast difference, not just something that's immediate gratifying, but something that's long-term vision. It was Seneca, the poet, and the Roman poet, who basically talked about, do not look for responses in people in your immediate vicinity in your own generation, but look to the future, into many generations in the future, and plan goals that leave their marks in time. And the people who have those kind of foresights, these are like the Richard Bransons that are already thinking of Virgin Galactic, 100-year plans into the future. The individuals that are doing that are leaving their marks in history. That's why we hear about them. And you can be one of those individuals by simply learning how to live by your highest values and activating your foresight instead of having to learn through telenomics. If you look at some of the greatest people in history, they had mentorship and they had people that they learned from, so they didn't have to reinvent the wheel. So if you live by your highest values and you start associating with people that are doing extraordinary things and you value yourself and your self-worth is expanded and you have bigger visions, you leave your marks on this planet. If not, you're going to be probably caged psychologically like the animal and probably be forgotten and probably sacrificed. So you can live your life as an inspired, almost angelic visionary, or you can be sitting there and caged in your life, living in, you might say, plateaus, holding yourself back, having to learn through trial and error and passing the opportunity that foresight has to offer. You deserve to live by foresight more than just hindsight.